mindset. And for me personally, what she does is help people, women specifically, with businesses and help them become more profitable. But part of that is the mindset behind it. And so with me, what I needed help with was the mindset. Also, tweaking my schedule to suit me and my human design. I don't know if anyone has done that, but I feel like I'm going about my day now with more energy, which is super exciting. And she's just helped me level up in so many ways. And so I really wanted her to come speak to you guys today. And before I get into our topic, I just want to read a little bit of her bio in case you didn't get a chance to read a little bit on her Instagram before, because she is truly impressive. So Kelsea Koenreich is a powerful speaker and mentor for business owners. She has over 10 years of coaching experience and has been an entrepreneur since 2011. She has the gift of inspiring others to see their potential so that they step into their power and live their true purpose. From nightly binge drinking and 3 arrests to author, speaker, successful entrepreneur, wife, and mom of 3, her story is proof of what is possible for women. She brings a unique perspective that allows people to move faster, recreate who they desire to be, and become the most successful version of themselves. Part of that, you guys, is showing up for yourselves and showing up for your businesses. And she had asked me what my team needs. And I was like, I think they just need help showing up consistently. And so today she's going to talk about how to do that, how to show up consistently, how to build resilience around that. And I'm so excited for her to speak to you guys. So whenever you're ready, Kelsea, you can take it away.
Hello, thank you. Quite the intro. I love it. I'm so excited to talk to you guys today. And this is always fun for me when I come into groups like this, especially there's the advantage of being in somewhat of a smaller group versus a big audience for me, because it can be more of a dynamic conversation. So before I open up and kind of get into everything today, I want to let you guys know that I love Zoom and the chat box. That's an open space for you to share any thoughts that are coming up for you, anything that's resonating for you. It gives me great feedback as I go along if I need to dig into something deeper. I, of course, have a framework that I'm going to walk you guys through, but this does get to be more of a dynamic conversation too. If you feel like you're struggling more in a certain area, or if I bring something up and you're like, that stings a little bit, let me know kind of where you're at, and feel free to just use that chat box and keep this as an open conversation. So like Sam said, I'm going to talk to you guys about resilience. And this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. As you guys heard in my introduction, I've had quite the journey, and I want to share a little bit more of my story with you guys. And it's really important for me to share this piece because when I speak about resilience, I don't speak from probably what a lot of you guys have seen, especially in the fitness world, of like the hustle and grind culture. What I speak and how I speak about resilience is about overcoming, and it is about being able to show up when things are hard and being able to be connected to who you are, what your purpose is, what your passion is. And so I'm not here to tell you to push through discomfort that is real discomfort. I'm here to help you kind of banish some fears that may be in your head. I'm here to help you elevate your businesses so that you can really have the dream that you wanted to have when you started the business that you have. So my story is a lot of repetition of overcoming. I built resilience because I was forced to be resilient. And what I mean by that is I didn't know that I was resilient until after I reached my rock bottom, after I started to rise, after I was facing so many difficulties and hardships. Looking back now, I realized that resilience was a skill that I was building at the time. And so I really encourage you guys to look at what you've been through already and recognize that you are already resilient as well, just by being here. I had about 10 years where I was completely devoted to destructing myself. I was so obsessed with only numbing my feelings. I didn't want to feel anything. I just drank. I did drugs. I abused my body. I did a lot of things that caused a lot of shame. in my life. I spent about 10 years in this path, and over the course of about 3 years, I was arrested 3 times. My third arrest was my rock bottom. And that is where I turned my life around, because if I hadn't made that choice that day, I would not be here today. And so while your story may be similar in some ways and different than other ways, we all navigate through challenges. And my challenges may have been a little more severe than others, but it doesn't make anybody's challenges less than or more than. It's about how you show up for it, how you come out of it, and what you take with you on your journey as you move forward. So I really, really believe that the only reason that I am where I am is because I never gave up. And we hear this all the time. We hear about, again, the hustle culture, the grind culture, the showing up, the early mornings, the lack of sleep, all these things that are promoted, like I said, especially in the fitness community, which, as a side note, I started coaching in the fitness community. I was a fitness coach, an online fitness coach in 2011, before it was like really as big as it is now. So it's amazing to see how far it's come. But I just never gave up. And so what I want to encourage you to do today, if you take anything away from this, it's that when you face hardships, because you will, it's not about stepping back. It's about leaning into it and saying, what is the lesson here? What can I take with me? Why am I here again? And our perspective gets to change as we approach new things, as we handle new hardships. So I've continued, even in all the success that I've built, I've continued to have hard situations. I've continued to have situations that have challenged me to my core, that have broken me down, that have made me question myself and where I'm going. But I realize that all of us face this. No matter how much success you built, no matter how much money you make, no matter what impact you're creating in this world, you're still human. And that means that you're going to have challenges. You're going to have hardships. You're going to have days where you don't feel like showing up for yourself. You're going to have days where you don't feel like showing up for your business. And it's so important in those moments. I'm going to walk deeper into this with you, but it's so important in those moments to remember why you started. For me, anytime I'm facing another challenge, what the difference is between me and someone else, the difference between you as you continue to rise and someone else, is that in those moments, the option to give up isn't there. And that's something that I built over time without recognizing it, because I chose in that moment, in that jail cell, in my third arrest, that I was not going to give up. Moving forward, I didn't know what it looked like, as many of us don't. We don't know what the future holds for us. We know the desires that we have. I didn't know what was in front of me. What I knew is that I was tired of the life that I was living. I wanted to build something better, and I wasn't going to give up. And so when you're faced with challenges, when you're faced with hardships, what I'm encouraging you to do is not to ignore your emotions, is not to put yourself or the feelings that you're having, suppress them, because I think, are doing a lot of work in our generation to kind of undo that and be okay with our emotions. But what I am encouraging you to do is to look at it as an opportunity, to look at, in those moments, instead of saying, this is where I want to shrink myself, what I'm inviting you to do is to rise to that occasion and say, I'm struggling right now. What do I need? What emotions am I dealing with? How can I meet this? How can I meet myself where I'm at? How can I honor the emotions that I have so that I can show up, so that I can continue to walk this path, so that I can continue to live the purpose that is meant for me, right? So I want to share with you the actual definition of resilience. And this is one of my favorite things to do that I do in a lot of my talks, because one of the most beautiful things that I love doing with clients is rewriting things, rewriting beliefs, rewriting patterns, looking at how we are defining things and choosing something else. So the thing about resilience is, if you guys want to throw in the chat, if you feel like it, when you think about resilience, what do you think about? Because when I think about resilience previously, what I thought resilience was like, you just keep going. You just keep going. No matter what's happening, you just keep going. And so with that in mind, it's like, well, of course I'm going to keep going. Like I told you guys, that was something that I built without even knowing it, because I was like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. I don't know what it looks like. Oh, tough it out. That's a good one. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. I love these responses. I love it. Yeah, pushing through. And so it's so interesting because the actual definition of resilience reads as this. It's the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. Okay? The capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties. So it's not about toughing it out. It's not about denying your emotions. It's not about pushing through at the expense of yourself. It's about building a skill that will allow you to stretch the capacity at which you can hold things, so that when you reach another hardship, face another difficulty, you recover quickly. You recover quicker. You face it differently. You show up to the same thing as a different woman. And that's what's beautiful about resilience, is we get to let go of this me being resilient means that I have to ignore this other part of me. That's not the truth. The truth is I have to learn to rise so that when this comes back around, because it will in a different shape or form, I will handle it differently. And that definition feels so permission giving, because it's not just about, again, toughing it out, putting a Band-Aid on it, ignoring it. It's about, let's build the skill of resilience so that we are navigating through life as a different caliber of woman, as a different level of woman. Does that feel different to you guys? And then how you were thinking about resilience before? Does that feel like a permission slip for you? Does it feel like, okay, I can possibly rise to this. I could possibly build this skill of resilience if it just means that I have to handle my difficulties differently. And the cool thing about this is that you're doing it already. If you could think about like something that you faced, whether it was a hard conversation or when you guys first started your businesses, and you're like scared as fuck, right? You're like, I don't want to talk on my stories. I don't want to post content. People are going to think I'm salesy. I don't want to show up every day. What are they going to think? What's my family going to say? All this stuff is jumbled in your head, right? And then it's like, all right, I'm just going to try one time, right? And I'm just going to try this one time. And I'm just going to post this one time. And it's like that, to where it's like, okay, you're slowly releasing, you're showing yourself what's possible instead of being so stuck and tied in that fear. And that, you guys, is the one thing that I can say with resilience as a skill, and knowing this is a skill that you have to build to be successful. The only way you can build that skill is if you show up. If you continue to show up. If you show up when it's hard, if you show up when you're afraid, if you show up when there's doubt in your throat and fear in your heart, if you show up anyway and show yourself that you can, you're building resilience. You're already resilient, like I said, because you're here, right? Like you have already made it this far, and that's beautiful. That's something that oftentimes, especially as women, we don't celebrate ourselves enough. We don't look at what we've done already. And I know that each one of you in here is ambitious and you're driven, and you started this business with a purpose. You started because you wanted something different. You wanted something more. You wanted to create financial freedom. You wanted to help people. You wanted to make people feel better. And so remembering that, keeping that at the forefront of your mind, everything that you've been faced with so far, you've made it through. You're already resilient. But how did you build that? How are you resilient? How are you here? Because you just kept going. I don't want to teach you about how to not have hardships. I don't want to teach you about how to not have obstacles. I feel like that is marketing, especially in the coaching world in a nutshell, is that we pretend that we can sell you a solution to no longer feel a certain way or do a certain thing. But the reality is, what we sell as individuals who want to help other people is we teach people how to show up differently, how to handle situations differently. How can each of you, as coaches who are committed to help elevating people's health, how can you continue to show up for people? How can you provide a solution and make people feel better so that when they are having a hard day and don't want to show up for themselves, how can you be an example for them of doing it anyways? What a lot of people don't realize is that when you start a business, you step your foot into leadership. It doesn't matter if you have one person watching or a million people watching. You are now a leader. And being embodied in your work, being trusting, being true in your work is the most important piece. We're not teaching people how to eliminate hardships and obstacles. I'm not teaching you how to no longer struggle. I'm teaching you how to be a different woman when a struggle shows up. I'm teaching you that when you have fear, when you are being a people pleaser, when you're being a perfectionist, when you are doubting yourself, when you feel uncertain about your path, you see that, you acknowledge it, and then you move forward anyway. This is a skill that you can build, and all it is, the big secret is just that, acknowledging that the emotion is in the room, acknowledging that fear is there, acknowledging that you aren't sure if you're going to say it right, if you're going to mess it up, if you're going to make somebody mad, and proceeding anyway. Because every time that you proceed, even though you're afraid, you prove not to anybody else, but to yourself that you can. We aren't eliminating obstacles. We're showing up differently for them. We're meeting ourselves in the moment of, I don't feel like showing up for my business today. And we're asking ourselves the question of why. Are we afraid of how we're going to be perceived? Fear doesn't have to be an obstacle unless we let it be. You can raise and widen and expand your capacity at what you can hold. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody and you're like, that didn't go so well? So then you learn from it. And then you have the conversation differently next time. That's exactly what we're talking about here. So what are the hardships that you've been through already? What are the obstacles that you've risen to and overcome already that you've learned from? How can you apply those to your business today? Are you telling those stories for your business today? Because that is one thing that will separate you, especially when you are a product-based business or you're selling products, you're selling health and wellness. People buy from people they like. People buy from people they trust. Are you opening yourself enough for them to like and trust you? Or are you just expecting for the products to sell themselves? We have to have resilience. We have to have this skill. It is directly tied to the success that you desire. Tell me in the chat box why you started Beachbody. Tell me why you chose this path. The only thing that is separating you from a person that you look up to, or a vision that you are holding, a goal that you have for yourself or for your business, is the person that you look up to felt darkness, pain, fear, doubt, uncertainty, but they just didn't let it stop them. I think that sometimes we have this idea that these emotions go away. We think that once I get here, that will no longer happen. And as I've repeated many times now, that that's not the case. What's actually happening is that we're just showing up for these emotions differently. We're just choosing to acknowledge and treat and care for our feelings and emotions, but not letting them dictate how we show up in our day-to-day, in our business, for our people. That's the only difference. You don't get to a certain level. There's no peak. There's no top of a mountain in which it's like, okay, we made it. There's no more fear here. I'm unafraid. I actually don't like the word fearless, which is very, very interesting considering somebody who very much promotes myself as someone who helps people overcome their fears. But fearless implies that there is no fear. And the truth is that there's always fear. I still get afraid every time that I put something else out. When I spoke at an event on Friday, my palms were sweaty. Before I come into a room like this, I get butterflies. There's always fear. What will they think? Every time somebody reads my bio, there are people that are judging me. There are people that instantly shut down and they're like, I'm not listening to a fucking word this chick says. She's been arrested 3 times. I'm out. I know that that happens. I just don't care. I just do it anyways. And so there's no point in which there is no more fear. There's no point in which there is no more heartache, no more pain, no more struggle. You can't change that. You can change you. That's the goal. Resilience is what you're building. Where you want to go, the goals you have in your business and in your life, the reason why you started in this business, these things that you want are going to require you to be a different version of yourself than you are right now. You cannot be the same you and get a different result. One of the things that has to change is your confidence. Confidence is one of the best pathways in building resilience. And they work together. It's a chicken and egg kind of situation, actually, because when you show up for something hard, you move through it anyways. You're like, hell yeah, I did it. I feel more confident. But also we need confidence to get through the thing. Chicken and egg, right? So what I'm telling you is that how can you pour into your confidence? Think about ways and places and environments and conversations and whatever it is in which you feel the most confident. Because that needs to be a regular part of your day-to-day routine, whatever that is. Confidence for me, working out plays a huge role in this. I had to shift in my identities because I was a fitness coach, I was a figure pro, I was a competitive power lifter, and then I became mom to my first. And I'm like, what is happening here? Why am I working out? What's the point? I had to move through that discomfort and realize that movement for me, the physical piece got moved down and the mental health piece got moved up. And that was life-changing for me because that movement, I always showed up for it, but it felt different. I would be moving and be like, what's the point? Why am I here? And if you feel like that in your business, if you're just doing the thing to check the box, no wonder why it's not working. If you want to build something bigger and greater, you need to know why you're building it, which is why I asked you guys to drop that in the chat. Is what you put over here, your why in which you started, is that at the forefront of your mind? Do you wake up and start your days knowing and feeling purposeful? Do you know why, when you check in to do this work, why you're doing it and the impact that it's making? Can you see the zoomed out picture of what you're actually creating? The thing is that you always get to choose how you respond to the emotions, to the fear. That is your choice. And so your goal here is to choose to respond from that place of confidence, from that elevated sense of, I know why I'm here. I know where I'm going. I'm not sure how exactly I'm getting there, but I'm going to trust this process and know that if I am resilient, if I continue to show up, even when I'm afraid, I will get there. I want you to remember something incredibly important. Your brain is built to protect you. Your brain is built to protect you. That's its job. And so when we sense fear, it is our response to step back instead of leaning in. And so I want you to witness moving forward after today when that happens, because it happens in the micro and it happens in the macro. Maybe you have a fear of going live on Instagram. Maybe you have a fear of speaking in your stories. Maybe you have a fear of posting about your services or your products every day because you think you're going to be too salesy or people will unfollow you. But here's the thing. Quitting is easy. Not showing up, that's easy. And if I were to ask you guys today, is quitting or not showing up going to get you where you want to go? Your answer would likely be no. And so in order to show up when it's hard, you have to remember that purpose. You have to remember why. The goals that you have, the goals that you're setting for yourself, for the business. If you're not setting personal goals outside of your business, I highly recommend that. And the goals that you're setting, how bad do you actually want to reach them? How important does it feel to actually achieve that? Because if it doesn't feel important, if you treat your business as if it's something just to pad your pockets, it's not going to work. But if you treat your business like the thing that is the vessel for you to create an impact, the thing that provides the ability to craft and create your legacy that you leave behind, doesn't that feel a little more weighted? Doesn't that feel like when you wake up in the morning that you actually want to? It's very, very important that you have this at the forefront of your mind. Gretchen, I love your question on creating a new why. It's actually what I'm going into right now. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to sit down and I want you to remember why you started. What was your original why? Even if that's changed, okay? What was your original why? Start with that. If it's changed, that's fine. It might have changed on the surface level, but many times we have surface level whys. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what I want you to get better at is peeling back the layers. So I want you to remember why you started, and then I want you to peel back a layer and go deeper, right? So an example of this would be like, let's say you started this business because you were like, I would like some extra income. I would like income to be able to maybe replace my full-time job so I could stay home. Peel that back. Why do you want to stay home? Do you have children that you want to be present for? Do you want to travel because that's fulfilling to you? And peel that back. What does being present with your children mean to you? What does traveling and that fulfillment create for you? So if your why is up here, what I'm asking you to do is peel it back, just keep peeling it back. If you're needing to, if you're like, okay, I just like signed up, this sounded fun. What the fuck is this lady talking about? I need a new why, and or I need to actually think about like, what is my why? Why am I doing this? Again, go back to whatever that little tinge was, whatever that little, I call it the glimmer of hope in my book. There was some sort of little sparkle, something that lit you up, something that excited you. Go back to that and then start to open that back up. Oftentimes, I think that when we're creating a why, and what you might not need to do might not be so focused on creating a new why, it might just be seeing the impact of the why that you have already. We are really good at shrinking ourselves as women. We are really good at making ourselves small. But can you make yourself bigger? When I coach clients, I can look at it as I met with a client on a Zoom call today. We talked. Or I can say, I met with a client on a Zoom call today. We crafted an offer, a plan. We made a shift that will allow her to open up an entire new pathway that will create more revenue for her, that will provide for her family, that will allow her to travel so that she can, another ripple, another layer, and so that she can be happy, be fulfilled, be joyful. We forget that those things are our birthright. We forget that wealth is our birthright. We forget that happiness is our birthright. We forget that fulfillment is our birthright. And so it's okay. I'm giving you permission today if your why seems to be self-serving, because you should be serving yourself, because when you serve yourself, you serve everybody around you better. You know this being in a health and wellness business, you know the importance of prioritizing your health. So use the same lens for your business. So how can you make your why bigger? How can you take what you are doing in your day-to-day business? How can you look at, I'm posting a piece of content as I am actually crafting the steps. I'm putting my impact out into the world as part of the legacy that I'm creating. Again, different weights there. Are you posting a piece of content, or are you writing a chapter, a page in your legacy? Which feels more purposeful, which feels like you want to show up for it. It's easy to not show up if you minimize. It's harder to not show up when it's big, right? Like it would be easier for Sam to not show up for a phone call with Gretchen. But if Sam was like, yeah, Gretchen, about your wedding, can't make it, sorry. That's a big fucking deal, right? Like, don't let your business be small. Don't let yourself be small. See the impact, see the outer ripples of what you are creating in your day-to-day. When you're resilient, your confidence starts to elevate. Practice won't make you perfect, but perfectionism doesn't exist. It makes you show up differently. It makes the doubt voice get quieter because you've done it before. You've been somewhere similar before. You know that that feeling comes and you're just like, that's there and that's okay. And I'm proceeding. When you're resilient, this is an important one. No's don't knock you down. Y'all are going to get a lot of no's. I get a lot of no's. Everybody gets them. regardless of what you may see on social media. But what if instead of letting that no knock you down, you're like, okay, and you keep moving? That's your choice. That is what I mean about you get to choose how you respond to situations, because the no's are coming. Are you willing to accept them and move on? Or are you going to let them continue to make you feel discouraged, continue to doubt yourself? That is your choice. Part of being resilient, and when you are resilient, your eyes and your heart are locked forward. I told you guys the reason why I'm here from where I was is because I didn't see another option. There was no option but forward, but putting one foot in front of another. Do you feel that same option in your day to day? When you wake up and you have to show up for your business, are you seeing it as an option? How you show up can be flexible. Give yourself permission to honor your energy, but never let yourself step back and let fear win. When you're resilient, you believe in yourself enough to show up even when you feel uncertain or unsure, because it's still going to be there. But when you feel it, you'll show up anyways. Do you guys understand? Are you feeling like the importance of this skill of resilience and how it really matters for showing up in your business? So I want to tell you guys some things that I've learned about resilience and how you can build resilience and how you can apply this to your day-to-day. The first thing is perspective, right? We've all heard this. We know perspective matters. We know that this is a big, a lot of the mindset work that people do. It's all about changing your perspective. But just as I went through previously, you always have the choice of if something is smaller or bigger. When you get a no, you can let that wreck your day, make you feel discouraged, say, fuck it, I'm not posting about this anymore. Or you can say, that person's not ready, I'm going to find who is. You get to choose if something becomes bigger or smaller. You get to choose if something knocks you down or pushes you forward. Where your focus goes is where your energy flows. If you are focused on how you can't get a new customer, if you're focused on how your content's not converting, if you're focused on all the shit that you're doing wrong, do you think that anything's going to go right? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. What is working? What has worked? How can you elevate that? What feels good for you? How can you pour into your confidence so that you show up differently? So I am originally from Texas, and my dad still lives in Texas. I live in Florida now. And my dad is like, he's my person. Like, I love my dad so much. He could do no wrong. And he said something to me the other day. And it was, when people you really love, they say something that's like, may not be that big of a deal. But again, it's like, you can make it smaller, make it bigger. And I chose to really let myself have this compliment. And he said to me, Kelsea, the reason why you're succeeding, the reason why people trust you is when you speak, you're believable. And I was like, wow, thank you for that. And it's so important that I never set out with the intent of, how do I speak so that people believe me? What I did set out to do is, I believe in my ability to change this world that we are living in, and I'm just going to go after that. And so I learned to believe in myself. So when I show up with confidence and passion and conviction to my work because I believe in it. Do you believe in your work? Are you showing up the same way? Because if so, if you do that, if you focus on your confidence, if you focus on belief in your products, your services, then you show up differently. And people see that. My dad, who has not been in any of these rooms with me, he's only witnessed me outside of them, felt that and saw that. And so it's very easy in our businesses to focus on the things that move the needle, the things that we're checking the boxes, right? The showing up on social media, the content, the lead generation, the engagement, all of those things. But are you doing the work that you need to do to be your best self, to be your most confident self, so that when you show up, you are showing up differently? So that when you speak about your products, so when you speak about new things coming out, people believe you and want to listen to you? This matters. Another way that you have to be resilient is something else that we covered today. It is knowing, but not just knowing, staying connected to your why. There is something bigger than you that drives this bus. There is something, a reason that is bigger, that is outside even your peripheral vision, that matters. Knowing and getting clear on what drives you as a human and being connected so that you wake up in the morning and you feel tied to crafting and creating what you need to create that day. Another way to be resilient is discipline. This is another word that's thrown around, especially in health and wellness, right? And it's thrown around with the tone of, just hustle, push through, grind, all those things. Not my favorite terms, if you couldn't tell already. But it's about discipline to me is about doing it when you're scared. It's about showing up for yourself so that you can build trust with yourself. If you think about how you build relationships with other people, trust matters. Who do you trust and why do you trust them? Are you providing that same experience for yourself? Are you giving that to you? Motivation is not going to get you guys where you want to go. Motivation comes and goes. If you're only posting and only showing up when you get excited about new products, it's not going to work. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Discipline is built in your habits. Discipline is built in your core value system. And discipline helps you build resilience. Another way, and the last way that I want to go over of how to build resilience is you just need to start. You just need to start. You just need to move. When you guys are talking to people about a new wellness plan, a new products, you guys are motivators, you're encouragers, you're people who are connecting with people to say, hey, there's a better way to feel better, to do better, to live better. And it's important for us to remember that we're going to fall down and we just get up and we start again. When you start, there's a beautiful thing that happens. It's called momentum. And momentum, what I want you guys to think about is momentum, we usually think is this upward trajectory. But instead of this upward trajectory, I want you to think about momentum in waves. I want you to recognize that there are times to push, times to pull back, and both are okay. Momentum isn't a flat line. It is not that upward trajectory. Momentum is learning to ride the waves that are parallel with our human experience. So just start, no matter where you are right now, look at the things that you've been avoiding and do one of them. Look at the things that you've been afraid of and just try. Building resilience is a skill, like I've talked about. And the cool thing is that you guys are able to build skills when you commit to them. The difference in this skill is it's going to require that you show up and you look at your old self in the eyes. And today, what I want you to do is I want you to make a conscious choice to choose the unknown, to choose the thing that feels a little uncomfortable, even when you're afraid. Like any skill, this is something that has to be practiced, but I promise you that it is one of the greatest skills that you can build. And like I said, it is directly tied to the success that you want for your life and for your business. So when you want to shrink, when you want to pull back, I'm inviting you to step forward, to rise up instead. And that's your call to action for today. So thank you guys so much for listening.
That was awesome, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Everyone was pretty active in the chat, but did anyone have any questions that you wanted to ask Kelsey while we have her? You can either type it in the chat or unmute yourself if you do.
I'm just looking back through the chat. See if I missed anything.
I just have to say, I wrote tons of notes and then you like went deeper in things and I have like arrows pointing all these different ways and stars. But
Hello, morning.
Oh, hey, Nancy.
Hello.
I'm Nancy. Thank you so much for this call. I'm driving, so that's why I'm not putting the camera right now. But I would like some advice. The call has been amazing. Lately, I have been struggling. I have been showing up every single day, doing my activities, and I have been struggling, of course, closing, helping more people, closing the sales at the end. But I keep showing up, right? I keep going and like trusting the process. But sometimes inside me, I start like getting afraid about my team because some of them are doing amazing. And I say, oh my God, as a leader, I should be, like heading the Success Club first, heading the Success Club before them, showing them how to do it, and I'm struggling. So I don't know, some advice that you can give me to do not have these thoughts, thinking about this, Thank you so much.
Yeah, such a good question. And I think the first thing that really comes to mind here, Nancy, is that as a leader, you're still a human. And I think that what you need the most right now is to give yourself the permission to be okay with not necessarily being numerically above the people that you are leading. I feel like as leaders, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And so I think the thing that you need right now is to release some of that pressure. And I'd be interested to see how you would move differently if you release some of that pressure. And another word that's coming to me, there's two words that are really coming alongside that. And that is like your confidence when you are selling, and then also fun. How much are you playing? How much are you excited? How much are you showing up? It's not about showing up and checking the boxes each day. It's more about how are you showing up when you are checking those boxes. So I would look into kind of like where you're at energetically, if there's anything that you need outside of the business to be poured into you to elevate your sense of confidence, and then some play and fun. And those are leadership skills, showing people that you can be a human, showing people that you can have times where business is down and you can still show up and you can still lead, because it's not just all about numbers and money, even though we want that too. It can just be a moment in time. And so you can release that pressure from yourself. So I hope that's helpful.
Oh my God, yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Any other questions, you guys? I feel like everyone starts to look down when I say that.
It's like the teacher. It's like, don't call at me. Don't.
Yeah. I personally, you said this very quickly, but it got me thinking. You said to tell stories of when you were resilient. And when you were saying like when you were a new coach, you just like started, like you did the one post. And that's true. That's what I did. And back in the day, I've been a coach for 9 years. And back then the rule of thumb was to post 5 times a day. I don't know.
Oh my
It was
God.
like 2013. So maybe you did that too back then, but 5 times a day. And I was like posting 0 times a day before that. But I just started and like slowly I built up to that. But I think that a lot of my people are scared of posting or scared of showing up in their stories. So I think that sharing that story of like, thank God it's not 5 times a day now, but just doing one and seeing how that feels and continuing to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing about the really cool thing about storytelling in general, and sharing our stories is that from a business perspective, it connects people to us because they can see themselves in our stories. From our perspective, it's really beautiful because it's a little more easy to share. If you think about like marketing and sales in general, there are so many filters that we put ourselves through. There are so many times to where it's like, it needs to be structured like this. It needs to look like this. It needs to have this kind of call to action. And that can feel really overwhelming, which is the overwhelm is usually why people don't post. It's overwhelm with, if we peel back that layer, it's people pleasing, perfectionism, fear, all those things. So I think there's this beautiful gap that storytelling can bridge, and it allows us to sell a little bit easier because we're just showing up in our humanness and we're saying, I struggled with this and I overcame it. And we're just putting a CTA on that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So if you're still on and or watching the recording, my action for you, Kelsey's, was to show up. And I love this too. I think this is perfectly timed because the holidays is such an easy time to pull back, right? And so I think this is a great time to feel those emotions, but show up anyways and build that resilience. But also my action for you is to peel back those layers of your why, especially if you've been a coach for a while. Peel them back and see that ripple effect, because just hearing you talk about that today, I'm like, oh yeah, that feels so much more impactful. Like I want to show up than like 5 minutes before you shared that, and my why was the same, but just having that mental experience before even doing it felt better. So that's what I would love for you guys to do as your action. But thank you, team, for showing up and for watching the recording. And thank you so much, Kelsea, for being here and for sharing with us.
Of course. I hope it was helpful to you guys. Let me know if I can help in any other way, but you guys just show up, do the thing.
Well, awesome. Thank you again.
All right. Thanks,
Have a good
Sam.
day.